Well, hi. Welcome to the next video tutorial, and I guess welcome to mid-semester for the class. I'm pretty happy with how things have been going so far. I want to say thank you for sort of your active participation, particularly in the critique forums. I'm really satisfied, sort of with the pure support that is being offered and the sort of thoroughness and the attention that you're offering one another when you give your commentary. So there's my face on screen. It's not actually talking, but this week's project involves a selfie, so I figured I had better use one of my own. So this video won't be a super long one. I just really have two basic skills to talk about, converting to grayscale and then posterizing. You need to begin with a selfie that has the ability to print out at 8 by 10 inches, 150 pixels an inch, so that shouldn't be a problem with most cameras. And I need you to crop the image or take the image with your face occupying about 80% of the frame. Now, I'm not going to come in and measure my own. I'm not going to come in and measure yours, but I guess that, like my photo is showing here, I want the face to sort of dominate. Just going to make the completion of this project with the grayscale values a little bit more attainable. So what are we going to do here? We're going to take our color image, we're going to convert it to grayscale. Photoshop gives us a couple of options for this. The simplest one would be image mode, and rather than staying in the RGB color that this is currently in, we would just convert to grayscale. Click grayscale. On screen it converts for you. Not my favorite thing to do, so we've come from color to black and white. Not my favorite thing to do because Photoshop isn't giving you any control, even any knowledge of how it made that conversion. So when it goes from that blue of my eye or the dark brown of my hair, how is that converting to monochrome? It's not really telling us. So I'm not super fond of the grayscale. To get rid of it, edit, undo, there, undo grayscale. I'm going to show you a bit of a better option, image adjust, black and white. So to go to black and white, we'll convert it, but Photoshop is going to give you a lot more power, a lot more control over how that translation of color, of hue into black and white is going to take place. So the black and white adjustment is what I'd recommend, but one more little caveat, I actually think you should do it as a layer, new adjustment layer, black and white. So it seems like the exact same menu that I just showed you. So under layer, new adjustment layer, you have about a dozen choices there. Under image adjustment, you have a few more, but basically the same amount of choices. So what's the difference here? When you do image adjust and you pick one of these, you are actually physically working on these pixels. You are working on your background layer over here, right? This background layer. So you're working directly on the pixels. It is what we would call destructive. It's a permanent choice. When you close the file, you're not going to be able to have it in color again. You've made a permanent decision. Alternatively, you go into layer, new adjustment layer, and I'm going to pick the black and white this time. I'm going to click on it. I'm just going to pass through, say OK, and look over here what's happened in my layers palette. The color image is still there in the background, and then it has this layer on top that I'll click. Let me move it out of the way here. I'll click that on and off, and you can see that it's allowing me to toggle between the black and white and the background color image. And this black and white layer here is hovering above my pixels. And when I close the image, this is still going to remain there. So I can open it next week, and I can say, I don't really want that to be black and white. I actually want it to return to color. Or I want to translate my black and white differently. It is a non-destructive decision. It is merely a set of instructions that hovers above my background layer, and that's a really powerful thing to do. And I would suggest when you work in Photoshop to always pick adjustment layers as your method for making adjustments when they're possible to make, and I think in almost all cases, this semester anyway, they will be for our class, and in so many other cases, the adjustment layer is just a better choice, again, than going into the pixels themselves. If you don't understand the distinction, just do it. All right, so I'm in black and white. When I'm in black and white, that pulls up this sub-palette here called Properties. And this has these, obviously these hues identified: red, yellow, green, cyan, blue, and magenta. They're sliders. You can just start messing with these and seeing what it does to your image. So work intuitively. See what's going on there. I'm going, okay, right now I'm basically changing the color of my shirt. If I do reds, it's going to affect my skin tone more. So I can really overexpose it. I can make it much more, well, that's a little too much tanning. I can make it sort of much more richer values. Cyans are going to affect my eye color to the point that that is sort of soulless. I don't think I want to look soulless. I'm going to put that back in the middle. If you've really messed a bunch of stuff up and you can't even remember what to do, down here at the bottom, that little button there, it says reset to adjustment defaults. I'm just going to click on that and it's going to revert to where I started. So let's make a couple of choices, just kind of working on our gut here, just going, okay, I'm going to do a few things there and I'm going to call it. You're going to have a chance to return to this, so don't be too worried. So that's grayscale or monochrome conversion. Now the notion of posterize. So we're again having two choices. You can go into, oops, okay. I need to click, right now I'm on the layers, black and white. I need to click back on my background layer. Okay, so I can go into image, adjust, and I can go into posterize, and that is the menu that I want you to do. But we are once again working on our background layer. Let's try let's try layer, new adjustment layer, posterize. Whoa, do that. So image, new adjustment, layer, new adjustment layer, posterize will again create another adjustment layer, another non-destructive set of instructions. So I'm going to click on that. Again, I'm going to sort of pass through this by saying OK. And over here, over here, the posterization now is a layer that has been created on top of my black and white. And it has turned my image, well, into a very sort of graphic portrayal of my portrait. What has really happened? Here's what's happened. This is the properties value. So if I'm on the black and white layer, the properties value or properties palette has these colors. If I'm on the posterized layer, it just has a single slider which says levels. Okay, let me explain what this levels is. If I go to 2, right, just 2 levels, it has turned this image into black or white. It's binary now. 2 colors, 2 levels, 2 tones, really 2 tones. If I take this into 255, that is exactly where I started. When Photoshop does a monochrome conversion, right, when it takes color and makes it black and white, there are only 255 levels of gray. If you would like to paint 255 levels this week, you have at it. You can translate every one of these into its own value of gray, but I wouldn't ask you to do that. Let's cut this in half. Let's go, let's say 125. Is there going to be a big severe degradation to my image? No. I can zoom in on this and I'm really not even going to see that image being destroyed. Even though I've cut my range of tones in half, it's still pretty seamless. We go to 60. Still looks pretty good. When I zoom in, I'm still not seeing much artifacting. Let's go to 30. When am I going to have a problem? Go to 30. Zoom this sucker in. Okay. Now at 30, and mind you, I'm at 300% up here, 300% of magnification, but you can start to see the pixelization on the screen there, right? You can start to see how there's some abruptness now between the change in grayscale values. But mind you, right, I've gone from 255 to 30 before I really saw that happen. So for this week's project, I would like you to try 7. I think 7 is a reasonable amount of color, or sorry, reasonable amount of tones for you to print. It's attainable, but it's still challenging. I think it's going to teach you a little bit about paint mixing, about distribution of values. So there I am in 7 values of gray. You might love just what you see on screen. I'm a little dissatisfied. I'm not particularly seeing where my nose is there. I'd like to maybe have the bottom of the nose. Can I make other adjustments prior to starting this painting? So let's go back into the black and white layer, right? Let's click on that. It's going to bring again this property values up that has these sliders. And let's start to move these around, and we're going to see them now. Right? You're going to see them now be affected in combination with the posterization. So pretty powerful. I can still make my eyes soulless. Oh yes, I can. But at this point, you can go, okay, like I can reset to the defaults. That's how I started, but I don't actually like maybe this big swath through here. Not my pleasure. I'd like there maybe be a little shaping going on in that light shape, in that light value. I wouldn't mind if I had nose re-emerge. So let's move this down. There, I can get my nose back that way. Maybe even go a little further. That's pretty good. Let's see what happens if I adjust the cyan. I know that's going to affect my eyes. I can sort of open up my eyes a little bit, right? They started out here. I can sort of open them up. Now, the background is changing, but I'm okay with that. So I like that I brought a little bit of light in here. I think I've changed the value of my nose, though, so there are some compromises. Nope, I didn't. Maybe too much there at the eyes. Okay. What else might I try to do? Let me look at that nose again. If I do yellow, not really yellow isn't going to help me particularly. I think it's the reds. Maybe the magentas. Will the magentas help at all? On my lips? Okay, I'll do that with my lips. And then I'll just add a little bit more. Nope, I'm going to stay. I don't have a nose on this one. So be it. So I'm pretty satisfied. Well, not really satisfied. Let's do a little bit more. Okay, I mean, probably very close to where I started. Okay, I'm going to call that good. So now if I zoom in on this, there are 7 distinct values of gray. You're going to print this out. You're going to try to do color mixing, or pardon me, I said it again, not color mixing. You're going to do value mixing, black and white value mixing, so that, let me escape out of that, excuse me, spacebar, so that you can reproduce these values in Paint. It may be helpful to you to work off your computer monitor. You're going to need the printout to do the tracing, but it may be you have a better rendition of value by looking at your computer monitor if the printout isn't good enough. But there it is. That's what you're going to do. That's how we got there. So you know a little bit more about grayscale conversion and about the posterization. So thanks very much for your attention. Look forward to seeing the results of this week's project. Thank you.